Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
The president that causes people to have concerns. And I'd love to have some insights into you as to, for instance, at the Helsinki conference, to create an equivalence between our intelligence agency and what Putin is saying. That shocks people. I mean, you can imagine you saw Dan Coates' response afterwards, and yours today, I think, candidly was related to what he said at Helsinki. And then the notion of even thinking about exchanging diplomats, sending diplomats over to be interrogated by Putin, to even think about that, to let that be said as an official statement coming out of the White House to, this is my opinion, and I believe it's right, to purposely cause the American people to misunderstand about the NATO contributions and to cause them to doubt NATO and to really drive public opinion against NATO. That to me was purposeful, not unlike what happened right after Charlottesville. And then Article 5, to go and tell NATO he signed it. I mean, it would be a dereliction of duty if he did cause that to be the case. So why does he do those things? I mean, is there some strategy behind creating doubt in U.S. senators' minds on both sides of the aisle, doubt in the American people as to what his motivations are, when we, in fact, have tremendous faith in you? I think you're a patriot. Tremendous faith in Mattis. But it's the president's actions that create tremendous distrust in our nation, among our allies. It's palpable. We meet and talk with them. Is there a strategy to this, or is it what is it that causes the president to purposely create distrust in these institutions and what we're doing?
What's wrong with
Senator, I disagree with most of what you just said there. You somehow disconnect the administration's activities from the president's actions. They're the one and the same. Every sanction that was put in place was signed off by the President of the United States. Every spy that was removed was directed by the President.
Go to the points I just made. Go to the points I just made. Talk to them. Talk to them. I know what we're doing. Talk to the points I just made.
Here's what the world needs to know. Okay. With respect to Russia, this administration has been tougher than previous administrations, and I fully expect it will. The President's own words were, he's happy to figure out if we can make improvements with respect to the relationship between he and Vladimir Putin and change the course. But if not, he'll be their, I'll get the words wrong, he'll be their toughest enemy, most difficult enemy. I think I can prove that that's the case today. I think I have.
Yeah.
And so somehow there's this idea that this administration is free-floating. This is President Trump's administration, make no mistake, who's fully in charge of this and who is directing each of these activities that has caused Vladimir Putin to be in a very difficult place today.
Yeah. Well, look, you handle yourself in exactly the way you should, in my opinion, as it relates to comments. I noticed that you are not responding to what I'm saying.
I think I responded to everything that you said, Senator.
No, you didn't. And the fact is that you just didn't, okay?
We just simply disagree, Senator.
No, we don't disagree. Hell, let's run the transcript again if you want to talk about it. But the fact is
let the world decide.
It's the president's public statements that create concern amongst senators on both sides of the aisle. And I was asking you if, in fact, there was some rhyme or reason that this type of distrust or discord would be created. And I know you're not going to answer the question, but I'm trying to make a point as to why.
I know you are.
Why the opening comments and the questions and just the energy behind this hearing are what they are. It's not about you, and it's not about Mattis, and it's not what we're doing on the ground.
Senator, you went through a long litany of statements, but let me give you, first of all, I will tell you, I talk to the same allies you do. I speak to their foreign ministers directly. It is the case that they are behaving differently today. There's no doubt about that. They are now scrambling to figure out how to make sure that they are fully part of NATO.
Oh, my
Some
God.
of that is a result of the statements that you referred to, Senator.
Yeah.
Some of that is identifying Nord Stream 2 as a problem.
I actually agree with that. I agree with that.
Right. These are the, well, there you go. I'll let the record reflect.
I'll say
Mr. Corker agrees.
some of
These statements actually achieve important policy outcomes for the United States of America.
Some of them do.
Yep.
And some of them very damaging.
That was Bob Corker. He's never going to answer any question. I noticed that you're not being responsive. Well, I am. No, actually, you're not. Why does the president do these things? Why does he sow discord? Why is he playing the Putin hand in his own country? Why is he doing that? Why is he misrepresenting what NATO is? Earlier today, I forget which senator said, why does he do that? Why is he telling the American people that NATO somehow is some American bank account that pays for the NATO allies' bill? Why does he keep saying it that way when the truth is what I've told you, and that is that each country that is a member of NATO must pay 2% of their GDP, their gross domestic product. They must spend 2% of their GDP on their own military. That's the NATO requirement. There is no giant bank account that America pays into. Oh, we foot 90% of the bill. There is no bill. There is no bill. It's 22% that America puts in because we have a giant GDP. And so 2% of our GDP is 22% of the total. However, all it means is that Germany and Spain and Montenegro, even though they're a very small country, they pay 2% of their gross domestic product for their own military. Now, there's only 2,000 people in the military in Montenegro because it's a tiny little country, but that's fully 2% of their GDP. And that's what they're required to do. And when Donald Trump was asked to sign the communique saying that Obama had said 2% by 2024 on your own defense for all the NATO countries, Trump wouldn't sign it because then he turned around and said, no, now I want 4%. As if America was going to gain a shekel or a petrodollar. We don't get anything. There's no joint bank account for NATO. Each NATO country pledges to pay 2% of their GDP on their own military. That's what it is. So that's why Corker is saying, he misrepresents all this stuff to the American people, and he makes it sound like there's this major crisis and these big problems. And what is costing us money? His freaking trade war, his stupid tariff plan. Instead of organizing like-minded countries in the Pacific Rim, like a TPP agreement to trade with each other away from China in order to take China off of its high horse and make China realize the whole world's going to trade without you, he decided that the whole world can trade without us. And now our farmers can't trade their products. So he says, okay, U.S. taxpayers, you're now going to fork over $12 billion and you're going to give welfare to these farmers that don't want it. They want the market. Who wouldn't want the market? If you made something, you'd want to be able to sell it in the marketplace. You wouldn't want somebody to see. This is kind of like what the deal I had with the radio was. They would pay me to sit on the side, and I didn't want it. Every one of the stations I was on, they were paying me for it, but then they'd flip it to sports. I go, don't worry, your pay's not going to change. I don't want welfare. I don't want to be subsidized by you. I'll go out and I'll do it myself, and I'll make sure I'm on a platform where everybody who wants to can hear me. Problem is, they can't find us. That's why word of mouth is so important. However, I get that. You don't want to give up the market in exchange for a subsidy or welfare. He's an idiot. He's a moron. Tariffs are not the way that you punish somebody that you don't like the way their trade agreements look. You make a separate trade agreement with countries that trade with them also and say, hey, here's a workaround. You don't have to go through their marketplace anymore. You can come directly to us, and we can go directly to you, and we can all trade with each other, and China will be over there. And guess what? They're going to feel it because they're not going to be able to trade with you or me or have access to the European Union's market or have access to the American market. You know what I mean? They'll instead he puts, I mean, he's an idiot. He's an idiot. And whatever he does costs us, it costs us our marketplace, costs us our reputation, costs us tax dollars. And then he stands there in front of the veterans yesterday, and he says to them, I'm so proud that I passed Veterans Choice. No, you passed the Mission Act. He doesn't even know what the hell he signs. And it's not funded. And the Choice Act was passed in 2014 under a different president. And by the way, it's still funded through this year, but it won't be through 2020 and 2021. And you signed the Mission Act to replace the Choice Act. And yet, when the Veterans Affairs Committee and Grassley and others said, okay, here's our amendment to fund it, the White House was opposed and called it poison to the economy, said overspending on private care for veterans was an anathema, poison to the economy. And they didn't want to do it. And they haven't funded it. I mean, this is sick. This is really twisted. So he was also asked, Pompeo, whether or not he believes that Trump's foreign business deals are somehow influencing his decisions in foreign policy.
And are you 100% confident that you know everything that President Trump discussed with President Putin? That's a very easy yes or no. If you don't want to answer it, I'll move on to the next one.
I'm very
yes or a no?
I'm very confident that I received a comprehensive debriefing from President Trump.
Good. Okay. Now, do you know for a fact whether President Trump or President Putin discussed any investments in Trump properties or any Trump projects, such as the previous attempt to build a Trump real estate project in Moscow?
Senator, again, I'm going to try and stay out of the political circus.
No, but were you,
sir,
were you tasked with that? You gave us a list of what you were tasked with.
I came here to talk about American foreign policy today. I've attempted to articulate President Trump's policy.
All of these business interests are entwined, sir, with our foreign policy.
Yes, a foreign policy that has led to a massive defense buildup, a nuclear posture review that has frightened Vladimir Putin, 60 spies, 213 sanctions.
Let me also ask you about an additional question on Helsinki.
When I was a member of Congress, I tried desperately to get President Obama to do one of those things, and it was unsuccessful.
Okay, that's just a happy horse crap, okay? I got to tell you, that is just a bunch of crap because the fact check on who's been tougher, I'm trying to find it. We had it yesterday. I'll find it during the break. Oh. All right, so let me just show you what Trump does, okay? Just so you know why nobody believes a word that Pompeo was uttering, even though he's uttering words that aren't responsive to the question, okay? He thinks that he's been asked and that he's answered, and of course he has not. But I just want to show you what numbers are these? I don't know what numbers these are. I don't have. What am I trying to do? The White House version of what happened in Helsinki and the real version of what happened in Helsinki. Oh, it looks like 8 and 9, right? 8. Yeah. Okay. This is Jeff Mason from Reuters asking a very specific, pointed question to Vladimir Putin. He asks him, did you help Trump win the election? Now, this is the official video that the whole world saw.
President Putin, did you want President Trump to win the election, and did you direct any of your officials to help him do that?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Because he talked about bringing the U.S.-Russia relationship back to normal.
So right there is a motive for Vladimir Putin to have attacked our elections with Donald Trump being the preferred outcome. So that's motive. That's why that's important. However, the White House version looks like this.
Options abound, and they all can be found in an appropriate legal framework.
And did you direct any of your officials to help him do that?
Да, я хотел, чтобы он выиграл. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Isn't that stunning? So the official White House version of that leaves out Jeff Mason's full question, did you help Trump to win the election? And Vladimir Putin clearly says, yes, I did. Yes, I did, because he offered to normalize Russian relations. That has now disappeared from the White House transcript, the printed version of what was said there, and also the video has been edited. So if you went to whitehouse.gov and you saw the Helsinki conference, you would see this.
Options abound, and they all can be found in an appropriate legal framework.
And did you direct any of your officials to help him do that?
Да, я хотел, чтобы он выиграл. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Now you can see the reporter sitting there because the real question was this.
President Putin, did you want President Trump to win the election, and did you direct any of your officials to help him do that?
Да, я хотел, чтобы он выиграл. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Because he talked about bringing the U.S.-Russia relationship back to normal.
Today, we find out that it's not a phone call, it's a business meeting in Trump Tower with Michael Cohen in September, just ahead of the election, discussing with Donald Trump how to pay off or how to buy the story of the Playboy model, not Susan McDougal, I forget what her first name is, but she's a McDougal. What is it? Karen McDougal. Trump wanted to bring in-house the Inquirer story because he was telling Michael Cohen, you know, our friend David Pecker, who owns AMI, the National Enquirer, he could get hit by a truck. And God only knows that story could come out and it could ruin my chance. And we're so close. Let's buy the story from David Pecker. And Cohen says, I'm all over it. And he said, we're going to have to pay. And Trump says, 150, right? And Cohen says, yeah, 150. And so Trump he says, how do you want to finance it? And Trump says, financing, cash. And Michael Cohen says, no, check. Well, there's a transcript of that call that says exactly what I just said. And then there's a transcript of that call that Rudy Giuliani put out. And the Rudy Giuliani version says Donald Trump puts a don't in front of cash. Don't pay by cash. Check. So it sounds less mob. It sounds less like, hey, leave a bag of cash for David Pecker in Palm Beach or do a bank transfer of cash from my account to Pecker's account. It sounds like a real business thing. It's still illegal, though. Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.